So today I'm talking about a Hyundai with the P0136 code, what it is, and how you go about fixing it. So what is a Hyundai P0136 code? Well, it's an O2 sensor circuit malfunction bank 1 sensor 2. And what does this mean? Well, there's sensors located on the exhaust that monitors how much oxygen's been burnt off after combustion. And the onboard computer uses this information to adjust air-fuel ratio mixture. And it's seen a problem with one of these, so it's going to have to be troubleshooted to know why. And bank 1 is always the side of the engine with the number 1 cylinder. So if you have a 4-cylinder engine, it wouldn't matter. But if you have a V6, then you'd want to find the number 1 cylinder, and that would be bank 1. And sensor 2 would be the second sensor going down on that side. And some of the possible causes, well, it could be a bad sensor, could be in the wiring, like an open or a short, and possibly a blown fuse. And so the first thing to do when you get this code is to go locate the bank 1 sensor 2 oxygen sensor, and there can be some differences on the location of them. And so it's always a good idea to go get a diagram for your particular year of Hyundai and engine type. For example, here's a 2003 Hyundai Santa Fe, and as you can see, bank 1 sensor 2 is right here. And so like I said, it can be a little bit different on each Hyundai, so it makes the job easier if you do have a diagram or a layout like this. And the basics of what's going on with these oxygen sensors is that sensor 1 is going to be called the upstream oxygen sensor, and it's before the catalytic converter, and sensor 2 is going to be called the downstream oxygen sensor, and it's after the catalytic converter. And these sensors are doing two things. They're monitoring the oxygen that's been burnt off after combustion, and the onboard computer uses this to get the air-gas-fuel ratio mixture right. And they also have heater elements inside of there that monitor the catalytic converter, since the catalytic converter heats up when it starts to fail. So they also have heater elements in there that will detect when the catalytic converter heats up. So they're doing two things, and the one the onboard computer is seeing an issue with is going to be sensor 2, so it's going to be called the downstream oxygen sensor. And so once you locate the sensor, the next thing to do is to check out this wiring real good, be sure everything's plugged in and that there's no issues there. And basically just keep in mind, if anything's wrong with the wiring, you got a bad connection, open, short, anything like this is going to cause the same symptoms as a bad sensor. So you want to check that out, be sure that all looks good. Also be aware this is going to be on a fuse, or it's going to be a fuse box inside the engine compartment, and there'll be a fuse in there for these sensors. For Hyundais, it's usually labeled sensor 1, although there can be some differences. Sometimes it's usually labeled sensor 1. For example, right here, oxygen sensor up, oxygen sensor down. And this is an example of a 2014 Sonata. And if this sensor went bad, then it can cause an issue. So that's something to keep in mind. And so if you check that all out, you checked out the wiring, that looks good, there's no blown fuses or anything like that, then very likely that sensor has just gone bad and just needs to be replaced. You can test it if you want to. There's some good YouTube videos on that. One thing to keep in mind is that sometimes it requires a special tool to remove. Although sensor 2 is usually out in the open more, so often you can get on it with an open wrench, but you want to go look because sometimes it could be recessed in there and you need that special tool to get around that wire. This is mainly true with sensor 1, since sensor 1 is often recessed into the exhaust, but it's a good idea to go and look because sometimes sensor 2 can also be recessed in, and just be sure you got the right tools to be able to get it out and get it back in with that wire in the way. And so that's basically it. I just want to give a real quick brief overview of how you go about fixing a Hyundai with the P0136 code. If you have anything to add, please comment down below. If you have any questions, ask me and I'll try to answer them. If this video helps you, please click like, please click subscribe, and have a good day.